All right, so today we're going deep into the world of competitive boogie woogie,
Yes.
but not just anywhere.
Right.
We're going to Russia.
Russia.
Um, I know it sounds super niche.
It is. Trust me.
It's fascinating.
It is. We're going to be looking at a 2020 document
Okay.
from the Russian swing dance community,
Okay.
which basically lays out their entire judging system.
And it's intense.
It is.
Like, they thought of absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are rules about
yeah.
what music you can use, what you can wear, even how old you have to be to compete in certain categories.
Yeah, it's a whole framework to ensure fairness and consistency.
Wow.
Which, when you think about it,
Yeah.
makes sense when you're dealing with something as subjective as dance.
Right. It's not like judging a race where there's a clear winner at the finish line.
Wow.
So let's start with those age categories.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was pretty surprised by how specific they are.
Yeah. It's not just about skill level.
Right.
They have these very clear age brackets.
Okay.
For instance, if you want to dance in the seniors category,
Yeah.
one partner needs to be at least 35 and the other at least 40.
And no bending the rules?
No.
Couples can only compete in one age group?
Nope.
It's not like you can try to sneak into a younger category for an advantage?
Exactly. They want to ensure every couple is competing against others with a similar level of experience.
Right.
Both in terms of dance and, I guess, life experience, too.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that. It makes me wonder if maybe those age categories also foster a sense of community within the dance scene, you know?
Yeah.
Like you've got your peers that you're moving through the ranks with?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it might even create a different dynamic on the dance floor.
Right.
You're not just trying to beat everyone.
Yeah.
You're also supporting your fellow dancers in your age group.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got these strict age groups.
Yep.
What about the actual structure of the competition? It sounds like there are a ton of different levels and rounds.
There are, think of it like a really organized tournament.
Okay.
You've got your different classes based on skill level,
Right.
debut, C class, B class, main class, and then, of course, seniors.
And each class works its way through various rounds, right?
Yes.
From prelims to the ultimate showdown in the finals.
It's a process of elimination.
Okay.
With the couples being whittled down as the competition heats up.
Gotcha.
What I found really interesting, though, is that the tempo of the music changes.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on the round and even the level of the class.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me, too.
Yeah.
So as you move up in class, the music gets faster.
Precisely. Which makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
The more advanced the dancers, the more they can handle that fast-paced, high-energy boogie-woogie style.
And there's a difference between, like, fast rounds and slow rounds, even within the same class.
If judge round has a specific tempo range. So the dancers have to be prepared to adjust their energy and style accordingly.
They really are thinking of everything.
They are.
And what about the music itself?
Okay.
Do the couples get to choose their own songs?
Nope. All the music is provided by the WRRC.
What?
The World Rock and Roll Confederation.
Okay.
And it has to be pre-approved.
So you can't just show up with your favorite obscure boogie-woogie track and hope for the best.
Not a chance. And the tempo limits are incredibly specific.
Oh, wow.
Plus or minus 1 beat per minute.
Really?
They even have a rule about keeping the music style consistent within a round.
I was wondering about that. Why so strict?
Well, think about it. If one couple gets to dance to music that's slightly faster or more complex, it could give them an unfair advantage.
Oh, that makes sense.
This way, everyone is on a level playing field, musically speaking.
Yeah, it's like taking the variables out of the equation so the judges can focus purely on the dancing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it also means that the dancers have to be adaptable. Right.
And able to dance well to a variety of music, not just their personal favorites.
Absolutely. You can't be a one-trick pony in this world.
Okay, so we've talked about age groups, the competition structure, and the very particular music rules.
Right.
But who are the people making all the tough calls?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the judges.
Ah, yes. The judges in Russian boogie woogie.
Yes.
They're much more than just people with scorecards.
I'm getting that impression.
Yeah?
There's a whole team of them, right?
At least 5 judges for every competition.
What?
Plus the secretary and the head judge to oversee everything.
It's like a whole panel of experts.
Yeah, it is.
And they're judging on a bunch of different criteria, right?
Right. 4 main categories: dance technique, figures, music interpretation, and dance performance.
It seems like they're really looking at the whole package.
Yeah.
From how well you execute the steps to how you express yourself on the dance floor.
Exactly. And from what I gathered, technical dance is the foundation upon which everything else is built.
Okay.
If you're basic technique is shaky.
That's going to affect your score across the board.
That makes sense. You can't really build a house on a shaky foundation.
Right.
But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of all those judging categories, can we talk about the dress code for a second?
All right.
Because some of these rules are, well, let's just say they're very specific.
Oh, yeah. They're not messing around when it comes to presentation.
No.
Appropriate costuming is a must, with the right footwear, no visible undergarments.
Okay.
They actually specifically mention no string bikinis.
Okay.
And a minimum skirt length of 15 centimeters above the knee.
I'm picturing a very elegant, almost vintage aesthetic.
Yeah.
It seems like they're really trying to uphold a certain standard of sophistication.
Exactly. There's a sense of decorum and respect for the dance form that comes through in the dress code. No flashy distractions, just pure boogie woogie.
So no bedazzled hot pants or feather boas?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe we'll be surprised. Speaking of surprises, before we jump into the details of those judging categories, there's one more type of boogie woogie competition we need to touch on.
Okay.
Formations.
Formations.
Ah, yes. Formations. This is where we step away from couples and move into the world of team competition.
So instead of two dancers, you've got a whole group moving and grooving together.
Exactly. And of course, the judging criteria are a little different for formations.
Right.
They focus on technique and artistry, figures and performance, and then choreography and presentation.
It sounds like a whole other level of complexity.
It is.
Like synchronized swimming, but with more bounce.
Definitely. But for now, let's get back to those individual couples.
Okay.
And that all-important technical dance criteria.
Because that's where things really get down to the nitty-gritty, right?
It is.
We're talking footwork, posture, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And trust me, even the basics of boogie woogie are anything but basic.
I believe it.
Yeah. All right, so let's break down this technical dance criteria.
Because I'm already feeling a little intimidated just thinking about it.
It is pretty intense. So technique is the biggest chunk of the score with 25 points out of 65.
Wow, that's a lot riding on it. No pressure for those dancers, right?
Not at all. But you know what they say, pressure makes diamonds. And speaking of diamonds, there are two main facets to this technique category.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
First, you have the basic step, which is worth a whopping 15 points. It's all about rhythm footwork and mastering that iconic 6-beat basic step.
I'm sensing a theme here. Even the basic stuff is pretty complex.
You're catching on. It's not just about hitting the steps. It's about hitting them with the right style, energy, and precision. Then you have everything else that falls under technique. Things like lead and follow posture, the harmony between partners and their overall performance quality that's worth the remaining 10 points.
Okay, so it's like they're evaluating the foundation of their dancing and then how they build upon that foundation with their style and connection.
That's a great way to put it. And they don't mess around. When it comes to judging these elements, they have specific tables for deducting points based on different types of errors.
Like what kind of errors? Give me an example.
Well, if a couple is consistently out of beat or out of rhythm, the judges will start docking points. It's all about being in sync with the music and with each other.
It sounds like those judges have eagle eyes. They must really know what to look for.
Oh, absolutely. They're like boogie woogie detectives, analyzing every step, every bounce, every little detail. So speaking of the bounce, let's talk about that all-important basic step.
Yes, please, because even though it's called basic, you're making it sound like it's anything but simple.
Well, it's the heart and soul of boogie woogie. It's what gives the dance its signature energy and groove, and the way the basic step is executed actually changes depending on whether the music is fast or slow.
I'm all ears. Tell me about these variations.
So in fast rhythm thing, high energy, the bounce happens on those and beats with the real emphasis on beats 2, 4, and 6. It's that classic boogie woogie feel. Yeah. But then when the music slows down, the basic step transforms. There's a hold, almost like a suspension before beats 2, 4, and 6. It creates a totally different dynamic.
So it's not just about keeping up with the beat. It's about embodying the music through the subtleties of that basic step.
Exactly. The judges are looking at how the dancers use their legs, the dynamics of their bounce, how deeply they bend their knees, and of course, whether the partners are moving as one.
You know, now that you're explaining it, I'm realizing how much athleticism and control goes into Boogie Woogie. It's not just about looking fancy, it's about having that solid technical foundation.
You got it. And remember, we're still just talking about that 15-point basic step section. There's a whole other world of technique points up for grabs.
All right, hit me with it. What else are those judges scrutinizing?
Well, there's the basic dance category, which covers those 10 points we talked about earlier. It's all about the quality of movement and how well the partners connect with each other.
Okay, give me some specifics. What are the hallmarks of good basic dance?
Well, for starters, all movement should originate from the center of the body. The upper body needs to be controlled and engaged arm. Movements should be intentional. Head positioning is key, and even maintaining those lines while moving is important.
Wow, they really are breaking it down to the smallest details. I'm guessing lead and follow play a big role in this basic dance category, too.
Absolutely. Clear communication between the partners is crucial. The judges want to see good tension, a strong frame, and that sense of counterbalance that makes partner dancing so dynamic. And what's fascinating is there are actually different types of lead and follow.
Oh, really? I thought it was just a simple matter of one person leading and the other following.
It's way more nuanced than that. You have body-led, hand-led, even visual lead, where the follower is anticipating the lead's movements based on their eye contact and body language.
So it's like a whole conversation happening on the dance floor using their bodies to communicate.
Exactly. And the better that communication, the smoother and more impressive the dance will look. And of course, we can't forget about presentation and performance.
Right, because technique is only part of the equation. You've got to have that stage presence and charisma, too.
Absolutely. The judges are looking at how well the couples command the dance floor, their facial expressions, their energy, their overall professionalism.
So you could be technically perfect, but if you look bored or uncomfortable, it's going to hurt your score.
That's right. Boogie Woogie is a performance. And the judges want to see that the dancers are connecting with the music and with the audience.
It's like that saying, dance like nobody's watching but perform. Like everyone is, okay, so we've covered technical dance, which is a huge part of the score. What's next?
Figures. And this is where things get really fun. We're talking about everything from basic steps to complex moves and even acrobatics.
Wait, hold up, acrobatics like flips and lifts and stuff? I didn't realize that was part of Boogie Woogie.
Oh, yeah. And those acrobatic moves are judged just like any other dance figure.
Yeah.
Well, let's back up for a second and break down the different types of figures.
Please do, because my brain is already doing backflips trying to imagine all this.
All right, so first you have basic figures.
Yeah.
And even though they're called basic, they're still a key part of the technique score. The judges are looking for clear execution and some variation in those simpler moves.
So even with the basic figures, you can't just phone it in. You've got to add your own flair and style.
Exactly. It's about showing your understanding of the fundamentals while still bringing some personality to the dance floor. Then you have advanced figures and highlights, which are worth 10 points.
And this is where we see those show-stopping moves, right? The stuff that makes the audience gasp.
You got to think complex patterns, high energy combinations,
Yeah.
and yes, those acrobatic feats.
So the more difficult and creative the figures, the higher the score.
In general, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not just about difficulty. The judges are also looking for smooth execution, variety, and originality. They want to see moves that fit the music, the dancer's style, and the overall energy of the performance.
It sounds like the figures category is where those dancers can really let loose and showcase their creativity and athleticism.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that makes watching competitive boogie woogie so exciting. You never know what those couples are going to pull off next.
All right, we've talked technique and figures. What's the final piece of the judging puzzle?
Music interpretation. And this one is huge EE. It's worth a massive 30 points, making it just as important as technique.
Wow, that's a lot of points riding on how well you groove to the music.
It is, and it makes sense when you think about it. Boogie Woogie is all about expressing yourself through the music. It's not just about hitting the steps. It's about feeling the music in your soul and letting that energy flow through your body.
Okay, so what are the judges looking for in terms of music interpretation? Are they just looking for dancers who look like they're enjoying the music?
It's more nuanced than that. They want to see spontaneous expression that truly reflects the character of the music they're listening, for clear endings on the music, and they're looking for dancers who understand the subtleties and nuances of the song they're dancing to.
So it's not just about dancing to the beat, but about really embodying the music through your movements.
Exactly. And to make things even more interesting, there are two subcategories within music interpretation. First, you have spontaneous interpretation, which is worth 4 points. This is all about expressing the music through those little improvisational moments. Variations in the basic step, using your arms and head to accentuate the rhythm, and just having that overall sense of flow and connection with the music.
So it's about being present in the moment and letting the music move you.
Exactly. Then you have interpretation with advanced figures and highlights, which is worth 5 points. This is where the dancers have to show a deeper understanding of the music they need to choose moves that fit the structure and character of the song, highlighting those phrases, breaks, and musical accents.
So for example, if the music has a big dramatic buildup, they might choose a more powerful or acrobatic figure to match that moment.
It's all about creating a cohesive performance
Yeah.
where the dance and the music are telling the same story.
I'm starting to get why this category is worth so many points. It seems like a real challenge to do well.
It is, and the judges are really listening for specific musical elements that the dancers are interpreting.
Like, what kind of elements? Give me some examples.
Well, they might interpret things like rhythm variations, the structure of the music, whether it's more swing blues or rock and roll the chorus and phrases, any breaks or bridges, and even the lyrics if there are any. They might also highlight specific instruments or use call and response techniques where they're playing off the music with their movements.
Wow, it's like they're having a conversation with the music through their bodies.
Exactly, and the more subtle and creative that conversation, the higher their score will be.
I'm starting to think that being a boogie woogie judge is just as challenging as being a dancer. You have to have such a deep understanding of the music and the technique to be able to evaluate all these nuances.
I agree. It's definitely not an easy job. But speaking of judging, there's one more element we need to talk about, the scoring system itself.
Bring it on. I'm dying to know how all these points actually add up. All right, so we've gone deep on technique, explored the world of figures, and grooved to the importance of music interpretation. But how do those judges take all that and turn it into, like, a score?
Yeah, it's not just a thumbs up or down kind of thing.
Right.
Remember how each of those categories is worth a different number of points?
Yeah, technique is 25 figures is 10, and music interpretation a hefty 30.
Right, so the judges' individual scores get weighted according to those point values, then it all gets added up, but
Mm.
it's not a simple highest score wins situation.
There's more.
Yeah.
I thought we were at the finish line.
Not quite. They actually use the median score from all the judges to figure out the rankings.
Median, why not just average everything together?
It's clever, actually. Using the median helps smooth out any really extreme scores.
Hmm.
If one judge is having a particularly good or bad day, it makes the whole system more robust and less likely to be swayed by a single opinion.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like they're looking for the most balanced and representative evaluation of each couple.
Exactly.
So are we done with the scoring twists and turns?
Almost. There's one more little nugget in the rules ready for it.
Hit me with.
All scores from the fast rounds get a 10% bonus.
Ooh, interesting. So speed and energy really do pay off in Boogie Woogie. It's like they're saying, yes, technique matters, but bring the heat.
Exactly. It rewards that signature Boogie Woogie spirit. I think it also highlights how challenging those fast rounds are to maintain that level of precision and musicality at high speeds. It's no small feat.
Totally. And thinking back to those strict music tempo rules, it seems like the whole system is designed to push the dancers while still keeping things fair and consistent. No wonder they're so serious about every little detail.
I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this whole deep dive. Russian Boogie Woogie isn't just about having fun. It's about striving for excellence within a very specific set of guidelines. There's a real sense of discipline and respect for the dance form.
Right. They value technical skill, performance quality, and that deep connection to the music. And they've created this incredibly intricate judging system to reflect all of that.
What I find fascinating is that it's not just about winning or losing this system. Also provides dancers with a really detailed roadmap for improvement. They know exactly what the judges are looking for so they can focus their training and really hone their skills.
Yeah, that's a good point. It takes some of the guesswork out of it. You're not just dancing in the dark. You're working towards a very clear goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what stands out to you as the most surprising or interesting aspect of this whole Russian Boogie Woogie judging system?
Honestly, it's the emphasis on musicality. I knew it was important, but I didn't realize just how much weight it carries in the scoring. It really elevates the dance beyond just steps and tricks. It becomes a form of expression, a dialogue with the music.
I agree, and it makes me wonder, if you were a Boogie Woogie judge, what aspect of the dance would you find the most challenging to evaluate? The technical precision, the creative figures, or that intangible musicality?
That's a tough one. They all seem so interconnected, but maybe musicality, because it's so subjective, you're trying to assess something that's felt rather than just seen. It's like judging a feeling.
Right, and every judge brings their own musical background and preferences to the table.
Mhm.
It's fascinating how they manage to find that consensus and award points fairly.
And it makes me want to see these judging criteria in action. I'm going to have to hunt down some videos of those Russian Boogie Woogie competitions.
Definitely do that. Now that you know what to look for, you'll have a whole new appreciation for the skill and artistry of these dancers. It's truly a visual and emotional spectacle.
Well, I think we've officially cracked the code of Russian boogie woogie
Yeah.
judging. Who knew it would be such a deep dive?
It's always surprising where these deep dives take us. You never know what fascinating worlds are hidden just beneath the surface.
So true. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep